After my rebirth, I no longer condone my crush's relationship with my best friend. After my rebirth, my best friend boasted to me, I confessed to your crush of 3 years, and he said yes. Unlike in my previous life, I didn't silently offer my blessings and walk away dejectedly. Instead, I looked directly at her and asked, aren't you shameless? The dormitory was filled with the cloyingly sweet smell of cheap perfume. So nauseating, Zhou Wei stood in front of my bed, her fingers twirling the ends of her newly permed hair, her eyes darting around as she looked me over, her eyes and brows full of smiles. Her voice was deliberately softened, carrying an irrepressible excitement. Wanwan, I have some good news to share with you. I confessed to Chinsu, and he said yes, we're officially together now. Zhou Wei tilted her head, observing my reaction. Her face seemed cautious, but her eyes were full of pride. I know you've liked him for a long time, but feelings are something you can't control. Since he chose me, you'll definitely bless us, right? I was struggling out of the dizziness of being reborn, and I could still see the panicked face of the driver who caused the accident. I was still sorting out the timeline when I heard the sentence, and I instantly remembered that it was the day she successfully confessed to Chinsu, whom I had a crush on for 3 years in my previous life. I was devastated by that sentence. I remember my mind went blank at the time, and my heart ached as if it were being repeatedly struck by a blunt object. Looking into her guilty eyes and hearing her wish for my blessing, I forced a smile that was more like a grimace than a heart-wrenching pain. This is a good thing. I should wish you happiness. Then I fled the dormitory like a deserter, withdrew from Chinsu's world, and, carrying with me what I thought was a great sacrifice and fulfillment, alone digested the bitterness of unrequited love. It wasn't until a class reunion 10 years later, when everyone had drunk too much, that I learned about Zhou Wei's little scheme from my roommate. You two were so close back then, we didn't dare say anything, but who didn't know she was a master copycat, always imitating you, and in the end, she even teamed up with Chinsu to disgust you. We all saw through her, but you were just a fool who was blinded by your own involvement. After leaving the bar, I was in a daze and couldn't dodge in time, so I was hit and killed by a drunk driver. In my previous life, I didn't realize she was imitating me at all. I just thought they were sisters, but in this life, upon closer inspection, I discovered many clues. The light blue dress she was wearing was a replica of the one I had my eye on but hadn't been able to bring myself to buy. The star-shaped earring dangling from her earlobe was exactly the same as the one I had lost before. The lipstick shade I'm wearing is a budget-friendly alternative to my favorite shade. Even the hairstyle I just got was something I casually mentioned I liked when I passed by a hair salon. Seeing that I kept my head down and didn't speak, she sounded somewhat dissatisfied. Wanwan, you don't want to bless us, you're so petty. I looked up, calmly meeting her hypocritical face, and asked, aren't you shameless? The moment those words were spoken, the entire dormitory fell silent. Zhou Wei's deliberately sweet smile froze. She probably hadn't expected me, who was usually so weak, to react this way. My roommates Zhaoqing and Li Man also stopped what they were doing and looked at me in surprise. The two exchanged glances, as if asking why Linwan, who was usually good-tempered, had suddenly started swearing, and the person she swore at was her best friend from 3 years of college. Linwan, what did you say? Zhou Wei's voice trembled slightly, more out of disbelief than anger. I stood up and glanced at her entire outfit, from her hairstyle to her skirt, from her perfume to her accessories. She felt my sharp gaze fixed on her, and awkwardly touched her earlobe, avoiding my eyes. My voice was clear, full of disgust. Tell me, how shameless are you? You know I like Chinsu. How many times have I told you from freshman to junior year? Last week you were still hugging me and saying, Wanwan, don't be sad, he'll see you someday. And now, just a few days later, you confess to him. You couldn't control yourself. Zhou Wei's face turned red and white. She had imagined that I would cry, make a scene, break down, or even just walk away in despair, but she never thought I would so directly tear off the mask of civility with her. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. Her acting came naturally. Linwan, how could you say that to me? Chinsu and I only chatted a few times, and I never expected we'd hit it off so well. Who can control their feelings? I considered you my best friend, that's why I told you right away. I sneered. Best friend, Zhou Wei, stop with your hypocrisy. It's disgusting. In your heart, is a best friend someone you deliberately observe, imitate, and then steal someone else's partner? One of the two roommates cursed copycat, the curse standing out loudly in the quiet atmosphere. Zhou Wei's face turned ashen, and she glared fiercely at the two of them. I took a step closer, my fingers lightly tracing the fabric of Zhou Wei's skirt. This dress, is it a high-quality replica of the one I had my eye on? The authentic one costs 3,008. Yours Is worth at most 100. I brushed away her hand that was trying to cover her earlobe, revealing the earring. These earrings are exactly the same as the ones I lost. The day I lost mine, you were the only one who came to my desk, saying you were looking for nail polish, and then my earrings disappeared. Zhou Wei's eyes darted around, but as always, she appeared fierce on the outside but weak on the inside. What do you mean? You think I stole your things? There are so many people in the dorm. Why do you suspect me? How can you prove it's yours? I clearly bought it myself. Zhao Qing was still annoyed by the glare she had just received, and asked in response, then show me your proof, like an invoice or purchase record. I bought it offline, and I threw away the invoice. I pulled out my phone and held it up to her face. I had my earrings custom made at a jewelry store after my college entrance exams. They're engraved with my initials. Take them off now so we can confront each other. If they don't say LW, I'll kneel down and apologize. If they do, I'll call the police immediately. Her face turned deathly pale. Why should I prove myself? You have no right to investigate me. I glanced at my two roommates rolling their eyes. Call the police. Someone stole gold jewelry. The value exceeds 3,000 yuan. Li Man met my gaze and quickly took out her phone to dial 110. Zhou Wei screamed and lunged at her, knocking the phone out of her hand. Don't call the police. The phone fell to the ground, its screen shattering into a spiderweb pattern. Now, not only do I want to call the police, but Li Man also wants to call the police. In the counselor's office, faced with video evidence, Zhou Wei had no way to deny it. The counselor practically glared at her. She really didn't expect that, with graduation just around the corner, there would still be students causing trouble. She reassured us and tried to negotiate a private settlement, asking us not to call the police when the counselor was trying to persuade us. Zhou Wei stood behind her, staring at me with a gloomy look and rolling her eyes at me. I didn't tolerate her, so I raised my hand to take a picture and handed the phone to the counselor. Advisor, you're so considerate of her, but Zhou Wei doesn't seem to appreciate it. She's rolling her eyes at you. Is she upset that you're meddling? The advisor's already ashen face darkened further. I will give you an explanation for this. You can go back now. Zhou Wei, you stay in the corridor. The three of us didn't leave immediately after closing the door. Instead, we pressed our ears against the door to listen for any sounds inside. Sure enough, the counselor's angry roar rang out. Zhou Wei, you don't even have the right attitude to admit your mistake. Do you know that if they call the police, it will be recorded in your file, and you will? Hearing her being scolded so harshly, we finally felt relieved. As dusk fell, our counselor informed us that the matter had been resolved. Zhou Wei had compensated Li Man with a new phone, returned the earring to me, and offered us a sincere apology, even writing a letter of apology by hand. Out of respect for our advisor, we accepted the apology. After the person left, I casually tossed the earring into the disinfectant alcohol. After seeing this, Zhou Wei asked me with red eyes, Lin Wan, what do you mean? Are you disgusted with me? I am extremely disgusted with you. I won't tolerate her, having lived this life again. I won't tolerate anyone. Zhou Wei looked at the wardrobe I hadn't closed yet and asked, Lin Wan, why are you packing your clothes? I glanced at her and said calmly, I needed to give them away, so my junior organized a charity secondhand fair. All proceeds will be donated to impoverished children in mountainous areas. Most of the clothes in my closet are almost identical to hers, which makes me uncomfortable. So I decided to donate them all. What? Why did you donate? How can I wear the same clothes as poor people in the mountains? Before she could finish speaking, there was a knock on the door. Zhao Xiaoyu, the junior student in charge of the charity event, stood at the door, holding a registration book in her hand, her smile somewhat awkward. The two girls behind her who were helping to carry the load also stood there, stunned, and did not come forward. Zhou Wei then noticed the person at the door. Her expression instantly froze, and the color drained from her face. The dormitory corridor was quiet. Her sharp remark, poor bastards from the mountains, echoed in the empty corridor, and people from several nearby dormitories came out and gathered at our dormitory door. Zhao Xiaoyu spoke first, her voice not loud but loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Senior Zhou Wei, our charity event has been running for 3 years, helping more than 400 children in mountainous areas realize their dreams of going to school. We don't ask you to participate, but we hope you can have the most basic respect for others. Zhou Wei's face turned red and purple again, and she opened her mouth but couldn't speak. Zhao Qing and Li Man took the opportunity to squeeze into the crowd and share Zhou Wei and my story with them. The dormitories around us were all in the same department, so everyone knew each other. Over the 3 years of college, everyone witnessed Zhou Wei using my things, borrowing from me, and imitating me. The whispers and pointing fingers around her made Zhou Wei feel so ashamed that she squatted down and buried her face in her hands while everyone was around. I reached out my hand to Zhou Wei. You've been borrowing my things since freshman year, and you've never returned most of them. Now you're returning them all. She was panting heavily, glaring at me through gritted teeth. I waved my phone. The screen displayed the police number I had dialed long ago. She had to start rummaging through drawers and cabinets to find things to put on my desk. Students in the crowd occasionally gasped in surprise. Didn't Zhou Wei say that bracelet was a birthday gift from her father? She said she specially asked someone to buy this dress from Hong Kong. It's very expensive, and she won't even let anyone touch it. Weren't these the shoes she specially changed into when it rained last time? Oh, they belonged to someone else. No wonder she didn't care. My desk was quickly piled high with everything from small bracelets and necklaces to large coats and boots. There wasn't anything she wouldn't lend. Li Man mocked. Zhou Wei, did you come to school empty-handed? You're practically asking Lin Wan for her underwear. Enough, Zhou Wei roared. Haven't I done anything? I occasionally help Lin Wan get food, pick up her packages, use some of her shampoo, use one of her lipsticks, and wear 2 of her clothes. Is that stealing? You're all bullying me. You're all in cahoots. I'm leaving. With that, she sprang up like a mad beast, smashing through the crowd blocking the doorway. Those who remained looked at each other in bewilderment. Even after the crowd dispersed, I could still hear people whispering among themselves. Is she still breastfeeding? Who does she think she can threaten? It's hilarious. I picked out the usable items from the things Zhou Wei returned, packed them all up, and handed them to Zhao Xiaoyu. Zhao Xiaoyu looked at me with bright, sparkling eyes. Senior, are you donating all of these? I nodded. Yes, that's enough money to buy a lot of books for the children. Thank you for your support, Senior. We'll put your name at the top of the list. The 3 girls happily carried their things away. After the crowd dispersed, Zhou Wei immediately returned to her dormitory. Zhao Qing and Li Man exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with even more contempt, and they kept rolling their eyes. Zhou Wei stood before me with an air of graciousness. Lin Wan, you're jealous of me. Seeing that I didn't speak, she thought she had guessed my thoughts and became even more smug. You're jealous that I won Chinsu's love. She stroked her hair, striking a victorious pose. Chinsu chose me. Do you know why? You're always looking disheveled and only know how to study, like a bookworm. What boy would like that? If you're not capable, don't blame me. These were her true feelings. In my previous life, she said the first half of these words to me jokingly during our graduation photo. I continued revising my resume on the computer, too lazy to look at her contorted face any longer. Whether I'm a bookworm or not is none of your business. As for Chinsu, take him if you like, but Zhou Wei, getting Chinsu makes you so happy to brag to me. Who's jealous of whom here? Yeah, and you're always imitating him. I won't say who's jealous. These words seemed to have hit a nerve with Zhou Wei. Lin Wan, you'll regret this. Zhou Wei completely lost her temper, grabbed the small bag on the table, glared at me fiercely, and slammed the door as she left. The dormitory fell silent again. After a few seconds, Zhao Qing spoke softly. Wan, are you all right? I turned around and smiled at them, this time a genuine smile. It's okay, it's fine. I should have done this a long time ago. Li Man walked over and patted my shoulder. We've felt something was off about Zhou Wei for a while now. She's always mimicking you. Sometimes her tone of voice and her little gestures are creepy. Staying away from her was the right thing to do. Thank you. In my previous life, after I made a dismal exit, they also subtly expressed their dissatisfaction with Zhou Wei, but I was so absorbed in my own grief that I didn't pay attention. After Zhou Wei slammed the door, she probably went straight to Chinsu to complain. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, my phone rang. It was Chinsu. In my previous life, he also took the initiative to call me. I was so excited that my hands were shaking. When I answered, I heard his polite but distant voice on the other end of the phone. He tactfully told me to stop bothering him, and finally said, Lin Wan, you're a good girl, but we're not right for each other. Zhou Wei and I are soulmates. I hope you can bless us. I held the phone, tears streaming silently down my face, and choked out okay, no. I answered the call, put it on speakerphone, and casually placed my phone on the table to continue organizing my job application resume. The other 2 joined in as well. Chinsu's voice came through, carrying a hint of barely perceptible irritation. Lin Wan, Wei Wei is with me. She's crying terribly. She says you led the bullying of her in the dorm. You've disappointed me so much. Apologize to Wei Wei right now and return what you took from her. I'll consider persuading Wei Wei to forgive you. Zhao Qing and Li Man were so angry they were pounding their thighs. I smiled reassuringly at them. My fingers didn't stop typing, and my tone was calm and even. If demanding that she return what she borrowed from me is considered bullying, then go ahead and sue me. The person on the other end of the phone seemed to choke for a moment, not expecting me to be so blunt. Linwan, Weiwei told me that you've always had feelings for me, and you felt uncomfortable seeing us together, so you've been targeting her, but feelings can't be forced. Do you understand? I understood what he meant immediately. He wanted to frame me as someone who hates love because of unrequited love, so everything I did towards Zhou Wei would be defined as jealousy. I stopped typing, spoke clearly and firmly into the phone microphone. Chinsu, firstly, any goodwill I had for you vanished the moment you got together with Zhou Wei. Don't let it bother you, and please don't be delusional. Secondly, Zhou Wei's behavior today was a provocation, a boast, and an attempt to climb the ladder by stepping on my 3 years of sincere affection. My decision to break off our relationship and demand the return of her belongings was to wake her up and teach her not to mistake politeness for weakness. Thirdly, I paused, my voice growing colder. What happens between you two is none of my business, but please control your people. Don't let her realize she's in the wrong and then wail like a 3-year-old, sending people to warn me and wasting my time. I'm busy. I don't have time to play along with this love triangle drama. With that, I hung up before she could react and blocked the number. Zhao Qing and Li Man looked at me with starry eyes, as if they were meeting me for the first time. Li Man broke the silence first, giving me a thumbs up. Wan, that's amazing, Zhao Qing exclaimed with admiration. Seriously, that's incredibly cool. Chinsu has probably never been roasted like that before. For the next few days, Zhou Wei didn't go back to the dorm, but at some point, rumors about me started circulating in a small circle in the department. Everyone said that I, Linwan, had been in love with Chinsu for many years, but could not get him. Out of jealousy and hatred, I insulted my roommate and led the bullying. Occasionally, when I encounter strangers on the street, I can sense some strange looks from them. Chinsu and Zhou Wei often went out together. Zhou Wei would snuggle up to Chinsu, and when our eyes met occasionally, she would quickly look away, revealing a weak and victim-like appearance. But people aren't stupid. Overly forceful slander can backfire. The classmate who witnessed me returning my things in the dormitory that day spontaneously came to my defense, and I also expressed my gratitude to the classmate who spoke up for me on social media. I put all my energy into job hunting after graduation. Seeing that I ignored her underhanded tricks, Zhou Wei couldn't hold back anymore. Inside the library, after getting my water and returning to my seat, I found someone had written "seat for jerks" on the chair with a marker. I happened to be wearing a white dress, and if I sat down carelessly, the words would be imprinted on the dress. The handwriting was crooked, clearly indicating that he was deliberately concealing his identity. The students in the nearby seat seemed to notice something was wrong. They secretly glanced over, then quickly lowered their heads and continued doing what they were doing. I didn't immediately raise my voice to question them, nor did I show any surprise or anger. I took out my phone, adjusted the angle, and took a few close-up photos of the stained chair. Then I turned on the recording function, held the phone in my hand, and walked to the classmate who was closest to me. "Excuse me, classmate," I said softly but clearly, while I was getting water. "Did you notice anyone approach my seat?" The classmate was taken aback, clearly not expecting me to ask so directly. He glanced at my chair, a hint of embarrassment and pity flashing across his face, but he still shook his head. "I didn't see it. I was doing my homework, thank you." I then turned to a girl diagonally behind me. "Excuse me, did you see it?" The girl waved her hand nervously. "I saw someone come and go, but I thought it was you, so I didn't pay much attention." I asked 3 or 4 classmates nearby, but they all gave vague answers. This was to be expected. Everyone in the library is focused on their own things, so who would pay special attention to others? Moreover, anyone who does such a thing must have seized the right opportunity. But my goal is not to find this person immediately, but to show an attitude of getting to the bottom of it. Finally, they found the librarian on duty and showed her the photos and recordings. The teacher frowned, her face clearly showing anger. "Such a thing happens. Which student is so outrageous?" "Don't worry, classmate, I'll contact the security office and the monitoring room for you right away." The security staff even asked me in detail if I had made any enemies recently, and I answered truthfully. The next day, as I walked out of the library, Chinsu caught up with me. "Linwan, I heard about what happened yesterday. Aren't you being too sensitive? Maybe it was just someone's prank. There's no need to make such a big deal out of it. Let bygones be bygones." I stood still, inwardly cursing myself for my poor judgment, turning a crush into rubbish. "Are you here to plead for Zhou Wei?" "No, I just felt you were being a bit aggressive. If it were me, I would have just laughed it off and wouldn't have made such a fuss." I took out a pen and paper, wrote down the 4 characters "impotent man" in large characters, and handed them to him. "Why don't you experience it for yourself? If you can just laugh it off, I'll agree to a settlement." He stormed off in a huff. "Lin Wan, if it weren't for Wei Wei, I wouldn't even give you a second glance." 3 days later, a disciplinary notice was posted on the bulletin board, with Chen Su's name prominently displayed. After learning the whole story, Li Man couldn't help but sigh. Looks like they're truly in love. He'd even take the blame for her. Zhao Qing clicked her tongue in agreement. Maybe it's because Chen Su's family is well off that he doesn't need to look for a job. If Zhou Wei gets this punishment, she can forget about the campus recruitment next month. This punishment worked. Chen Su and Zhou Wei completely disappeared from my sight, and all the rumors about me vanished without a trace. The atmosphere in the dormitory relaxed. Zhao Qing and Li Man were completely on my side, and the three of us ate, studied, and talked about our future plans together. Campus recruitment has begun. With a clear goal in mind, I headed straight for Qiming Technology, my former employer from my previous life. The process of queuing, submitting my resume, and talking to HR went smoothly. HR was very interested in me and asked me to wait a moment, saying that they would ask the department head to conduct a second interview. Just then, Zhou Wei's voice rang out. "Lin Wan, you're applying to Qiming too." She was dressed exceptionally well today, wearing a well-tailored suit, with perfect makeup, and holding several resumes in her hand. There was no trace of the disheveled state she had been in recently. Chen Su stood half a step behind her, dressed in a suit and tie, but holding nothing in his hands. I hummed in response and looked down at the documents in my hand. Zhou Wei leaned closer affectionately, her voice just loud enough for the waiting students nearby to hear. "I remember Qiming Technology has very high requirements. I heard you have to be from a 985 key discipline or have experience with top-tier projects, otherwise you won't even pass the resume screening." I looked at her, puzzled. A malicious smile curled at the corner of her lips. Her tone was regretful, but a glint of pleasure flashed in her eyes. "Wan, please don't falsify your resume just to get a job, okay?" The surroundings fell silent, and everyone's eyes were on me. Some suspicious, some angry, and some meaningful. Before I could retort, Zhou Wei quickly turned around, faced the approaching HR and supervisor, and immediately put on a sweet and polite smile. Before the HR could finish introducing me, Zhou Wei spoke first, saying to the supervisor in an intimate tone, "Hello supervisor, I'm Zhou Wei, Lin Wan's roommate. We're really close. She's just a bit impatient, but she's incredibly hardworking and willing to give anything to achieve her goals." This sounded like she was speaking up for me, but every word implied that I was impatient for quick success and would stop at nothing to achieve my objectives. The supervisor looked at me with a more scrutinizing gaze. I didn't rush to refute. After the HR gave me a signal, I took half a step forward, faced the supervisor, and spoke calmly and confidently. "Hello, supervisor, my name is Lin Wan. Thanks to my rebirth, I clearly know the company's development direction for the next 10 years. I spoke my strengths and opinions in one breath, with a steady pace and highlighting the key points. A hint of surprise flashed across the supervisor's face, followed by intense interest. He took my resume and supporting materials and quickly flipped through them. Zhou Wei's smile froze on her face, and Chen Su also looked up at me with a complicated expression. The supervisor pointed to a spot on the resume and asked a question. "Did you complete the data analysis module independently?" "Yes. The data came from publicly available industry reports and simulation databases. The conclusions received feedback and approval from Professor Zhang of our college. His comments are on the last page of the appendix." I was very well prepared. "All the supporting materials for each project are here." The supervisor nodded and asked 2 more in-depth questions about business scenarios. I gave clear and organized answers based on my observations, my own thinking, and the company's actual situation. "Very good." The supervisor said to HR, "Arrange for Lin to take the next round of professional written test and the director's interview." Then he smiled at me. "Lin, you have keen observation skills and a clear mind. I look forward to your future performance, and I hope you can be assigned to my team after you are officially hired." "Thank you, supervisor. I will do my best." After seeing the supervisor off, the HR reviewed Zhou Wei's resume and asked 2 questions. Zhou Wei answered haltingly, pointing to a few projects, but when asked about her responsibilities, she gave vague answers. The HR's attitude was noticeably calmer. After taking the resume, they told her to go home and wait for a notification. It's immediately clear who fabricated their resume between the 2 of us. Zhou Wei's face could no longer remain composed, turning red and white in turns. Chen Su whispered something to her and tried to pull her away. I put away the materials and, as I passed Zhou Wei, I didn't stop, speaking only in a voice we could both hear. "Zhou Wei, the workplace isn't a dormitory. Your little tricks are beneath you. Her body trembled suddenly, and she reached out to pull me away, but Jinsu stopped her. Don't you have enough lawsuits already? Can't you calm down? Stop going against Linwan. A few days later, in the evening, I was preparing for my written exam at the library when Zhaoqing suddenly sent me a link. Outrageous. A female student from the School of Economics and Management is suspected of falsifying her resume and having her advisor's recommendation letter forged. The post did not directly name her, but the description of her major, the projects she participated in, and even the surname of the advisor mentioned clearly pointed to me. Insiders confidently asserted that in order to stand out in the job search, I fabricated impressive project experiences and professor recommendation letters, and implied that I had an extreme personality, had publicly slandered classmates due to personal grudges, and had even led bullying, causing my roommate to suffer significant psychological trauma. Falsifying a resume is a fatal stain on one's job search. Bullying classmates is something that everyone condemns online. The 2 charges against the girl pushed the post to the forum's homepage. The post has already received many replies, some skeptical, some just curious. Previously, the story about Zhou Wei and me was only circulating within a small circle within the department, not yet known to the entire college. But now it has spread all over the internet. Some people say that true love is innocent, and since I didn't actually end up with Jinsu, Zhou Wei wasn't a third party, and I have no reason to lead the bullying. Some people say that since they are best friends, they should abide by basic principles. It is immoral to interfere when you know that your friend has had a crush on you for many years. Some people call me a bully, and some people call Zhou Wei a scheming green TB*TCH. The incident quickly went viral online and has already topped the trending search list on Douyin. TikTok. After reading it, I took a deep breath. I never imagined that Zhou Wei hated me so much. Immediately afterward, a call came in from an unknown number. When I answered, Zhou Wei's voice came from the other end. Linwan, do you like the big gift I gave you? I'm going to forever label you a bully and a liar. You'll never be as good as me. I don't understand. You hate me that much. Yes, I hate you. We all come from similar backgrounds, so why do your family love you so much, while my parents have always favored my younger brother? My voice was calm, which only made her voice sound more frantic. Is this your reason? Because your parents favor your younger brother. You hate all girls who receive normal family love. Because my parents love me, I've become your target for revenge. Zhou Wei seemed enraged by my calmness, and she shrieked, you don't understand. You've had everything you wanted since you were little. You've been pampered, and me, I can't compare to my brother at anything. When I get first place, they say what's the use of a girl studying so much, but if my brother just passes, they're ready to throw a banquet to celebrate. In this family, I'm just a stepping stone for my brother. She was breathing heavily, her voice full of sharp resentment. I comforted myself, telling myself we're all the same, parents who favor sons over daughters, a younger brother with high expectations, an older sister who thinks everything she does is wrong. I'd already fooled myself, but then you appeared. Your parents call you every week, send you sweaters when it gets cold, give you red envelopes when you get good grades, your brothers fight over who gets you snacks. You take all of this for granted. Why? Her voice was overflowing with resentment. Why can you so easily get things I could only dream of? I hadn't considered that as the reason, and after a long pause, I asked, so you're just copying me? Stealing my things, imitating me, stealing the person I like? You think that way you can become me, steal my life, and get the love and attention you want? Yes, Zhou Wei practically screamed, I'm going to become you. If I can't have you, you can't have you either. Jinsu is just the beginning. I'm going to ruin your reputation and let everyone know that you're a liar who bullies your roommate and falsifies your resume. I'm going to let your family see what a despicable person their precious daughter is. You don't deserve to be loved at all. Her words were filled with destructive pleasure, as if she could already see me abandoned by everyone and falling into the mud. I remained silent for a moment. Zhou Wei, you've got one thing wrong. My parents love me. It's their responsibility and choice as parents. Similarly, your parents' favoritism is their negligence and ignorance. That's their fault, not yours, and certainly not mine. We shouldn't pay for their mistakes. You're transferring your hatred for your parents onto me because you're cowardly. You're afraid to rebel against them, afraid to confront the people who truly hurt you, so you find a hypothetical enemy like me to vent all your resentment. Do you think destroying me will make your parents love you back? My voice held a hint of pity. No, you'll only make yourself more pathetic and repulsive. You've imitated me for 4 years, and in the end, you've gained nothing. On the other end of the phone, Zhou Wei's breathing became increasingly heavy. As for the big gift you gave me, I think you should first consider the direction of public opinion. Public opinion is long out of your control. Everyone's focused on the resume fraud now, Zhou Wei sneered. Now you're scared. Too late. I tapped on my laptop screen and read a few comments to her. She grew more and more silent as she listened. Our personal feud is now a minor matter. The online community has been accusing our college of serious project fraud or graduate resume fabrication. This matter not only concerns my personal reputation, but also the integrity of our college's graduates as a whole. It would be a devastating blow to the school's reputation. I gently reminded her, I don't need to do anything. The school leaders will come looking for you. The phone was abruptly hung up, and I guessed she must be very flustered right now. I turned around and dialed my advisor's number. Teacher, this is Lin Wan. I need to report to you and the college about that post on the anonymous campus forum. That slanders me. The counselor on the other end of the phone was taken aback and quickly reassured me, saying that she would report it to the college immediately. The college reacted quickly. The next morning, I was summoned to the office of the college's deputy party secretary, Zhou Wei, and Chen Su were also inside, along with a well-dressed middle-aged couple. Zhou Wei's eyes were still a little swollen, and she kept her head down. Chen Su's face was tense, and the atmosphere in the office was quite heavy. Secretary Wang didn't waste any words and got straight to the point. The posts on the forum have had a significant impact. I've called everyone here today to get to the bottom of this. She looked at me. Lin Wan, what evidence do you have to prove that your resume and experience are true? I calmly opened the folder and placed the prepared materials in front of Secretary Wang one by one. This is my application form for the research project led by Professor Li, which I started participating in the second semester of my sophomore year. This is the original recommendation letter written for me by Professor Zhang. I have obtained Professor Zhang's consent, and the college can verify it with him at any time. I explained the source and purpose of the materials one by one. Secretary Wang carefully looked through them, and his expression softened considerably as Secretary Wang turned to Zhou Wei, his voice deepening. Zhou Wei, what do you have to say about the accusations in the post? As the poster, who is the person you're referring to as having inside information? The office was so quiet you couldn't hear a sound. Zhou Wei's shoulders trembled slightly, and when she looked up, tears welled up in her eyes. She insisted that she hadn't posted the message. Secretary Wang, Counselor, I don't know who posted this. Wan and I are roommates, although there were some misunderstandings before. How could I do such a thing? This must be someone trying to sow discord. Chen Su spoke up at the right moment, his voice dry. Secretary Wang, there might really be a misunderstanding. Wei is straightforward and sometimes speaks without thinking, but she wouldn't maliciously spread rumors and slander her classmate. He then turned to me and asked, Lin Wan, what makes you so sure Wei is the one who posted the message? Maybe it's some kind-hearted person who knows the whole story and couldn't bear to see Wei being bullied by you. So they stepped forward to uphold justice. I watched their clumsy performance. Without any emotion, I took out my phone from my pocket and played yesterday's recorded phone call on the spot. You want evidence, right? I have it. My gaze shifted to Zhou Wei, whose face was draining of color. This is the evidence I'm presenting. Do you two have any objections? Chen Su was about to say something when the middle-aged couple stopped him and covered his mouth. Are you crazy? Anyone with eyes can see this. Have you been bewitched by her? If you dare say another word in her defense, I'll break your legs. I looked Secretary Wang straight in the eye. If the college deems it necessary, I can call the police now. The police have the right to access more comprehensive network and surveillance data. Secretary Wang nodded. That's enough. The school will organize the evidence and post it on social media to clarify things. As for calling the police, the school should do so to give you justice. And to give all the graduates justice. No, don't call the police, Zhou Wei cried out, her face filled with fear. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. Zhou Wei's lips trembled, and tears streamed down her face with terror. I was just confused for a moment. I didn't get the job at the job fair, and seeing how smoothly Lin Wan did, I felt resentful. I posted the ad, but I only wanted to cause her some trouble. I didn't intend for it to escalate like this. I didn't know it would turn out like this. Secretary Wang slammed his hand on the table. Nonsense, just because you're having trouble finding a job, you maliciously spread rumors and slander your classmate, fabricate evidence, and ruin her future. Zhou Wei, do you know what kind of behavior this is? This is a serious moral issue. It's a crime. Zhou Wei trembled with fear, slumped back into her chair, covered her face, and burst into tears. As I walked out of the office, Chen Su, with a sudden burst of strength, broke free from his parents' restraints and ran out to block my way. Lin Wan, why can't you just let Wei go? I was a little confused by his thought process. Haven't I let her off the hook yet? I already gave the school the option to call the police. Haven't I been merciful enough? You knew things had gotten this big. Why didn't you speak up for her? Looking at Chen's parents rushing forward, I shouted, someone has to bear the consequences. If you can't bear to let her go, then you'll have to go in her place anyway. This isn't the first time you've taken the blame for her. Before Chinsu could speak, his parents stepped forward and questioned him about what punishment he had taken for Zhou Wei. I took the opportunity to slip away and went back to the library. The school acted very quickly, and the notice was posted 2 days later. Zhou Wei was given a demerit for maliciously spreading rumors and defaming her classmates, which seriously violated school rules and regulations. The demerit was recorded in her file. Meanwhile, the college ordered her to post a public apology video on social media and to issue a formal apology statement on the original forum. When Zhou Wei read her self-criticism, her voice was barely audible, and her head was almost buried in her chest. The apology post on the forum was poorly worded, but it finally made things clear. The comment section was filled with sighs, and many people lined up to apologize to me. Chinsu has not shown his face since that day. It is said that he and Zhou Wei had a big fight and their relationship has reached a freezing point. I successfully passed all the interviews at Chiming Technology and am ready to begin my early internship. One afternoon, I packed up the last batch of books and prepared to move out of the dormitory. I went to the apartment I had rented near the company in advance, and Zhaoqing and Li Man helped me pack. Just as we were dragging our suitcases down to the dormitory building, I was stopped by someone. It is Chinsu. He looked haggard, with stubble on his chin, a complicated look in his eyes, and a thick brown paper document bag in his hand. Linwan, can I take a few minutes of your time? Zhaoqing and Li Man exchanged glances with me and went to the door to wait for me. Whatever it is, let's talk here. Chinsu handed over the file folder he was carrying. Here, take this. I didn't take it. What is it? He didn't pull his hand back. Zhou Wei dropped out of school. After the disciplinary action was taken, her family found out and were very angry, so they wouldn't let her continue her studies. She herself felt ashamed to stay any longer, so she completed the withdrawal procedures and left school yesterday. I raised an eyebrow. What does this have to do with me? Chinsu didn't lower his raised hand. This is what she left with me after she left school. It's her diary. It records some aspects of her life, including things she deliberately took from you, some of your preferences, clothing and style, and her jealousy towards you. It's all in there. I took it and quickly flipped through it, a strong feeling of nausea welling up inside me. Seeing my grim expression, Chinsu lowered his voice even further. There's another book that records my story. She thinks that taking away what you like will cause you pain and also prove that she's better than you, from beginning to end. I'm just a joke. He chuckled self-deprecatingly. I always thought she and I were soulmates, but it was all just a facade. What I fell in love with was actually the you she was imitating. I've figured it out. The one I truly love is you. I interrupted him. You haven't thought this through. If you really liked me, you should have liked me back in freshman year, because I've never changed. Ultimately, you're a greedy visual creature. You only like Zhou Wei's appearance and my inner self, so you kept me hanging on, and in the end, you chose Zhou Wei, who imitated me. Take your things and don't look for me again. Chinsu's hand froze in midair, his face drained of color. Linwan. He seemed to want to say something, but I waved my hand to interrupt him. I have something to do. I'll be going now. After saying that, I turned around, dragged my suitcase, and walked towards Zhaoqing and Li Man, who were waiting for me not far away. I arrived at the school gate. The car I called had already arrived. After hugging my 2 roommates goodbye one last time, I got into the car, rolled down the window, and took one last look at the university campus that holds memories of 2 lifetimes for me. The car slowly started, drove away from the school gate, and merged into the afternoon traffic of the city. My phone rang. It was an HR call from Chiming Technology, confirming the pre-employment medical examination and the final contract signing. Although I've embarked on the same path as in my previous life, I feel less resentment and attachment. I will walk this path more steadily and further than in my previous life.